Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Community Awareness Program. My name is Michelle Walter. If I could get everybody to please stand and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So we'll start off with Mr. Mike Romero from Securitas. And please hold your questions till the very end. Shannon will come and bring you the mic. Please make sure that you silence your cell phones, first of all, and then wait for the mic to come around because it's being broadcast on Channel 97. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle, for having me over. Good afternoon, Sun Lakes and all the residents here. Thanks for having us. This will be a brief report. Just want to touch up on a few items for the community so that you folks are aware. We have had an increase on welfare checks this month. My team and I have been responding to welfare checks within the community. Now, the welfare checks entail of our officers going out on the field when a concerned neighbor or family member wants to check in on somebody. We ask that you kindly be patient with our department since we're limited of what we can and cannot do when we're doing these welfare checks. What we will do is check your account history to check if there's any activity with your transponders, if you're leaving the community or entering the community for a certain amount of time. If we don't see any activity and our neighbors call us to let us know that there's something suspicious going on with our neighbors next door, we haven't seen them for a couple of days, we knew that they left the community or they left and then came back and they've been there for some time, we'll take the necessary steps on calling all the numbers on the account, reaching out family if we have to, and then going out to the household to do a check. What we do is we'll do a perimeter check on the outside of your household. We'll check to see if we can peek inside to see if there's anybody that might need medical assistance that might be on the floor. If we don't observe anything, we'll follow up with the reporting party. But if we do see that you are in need of assistance, we'll automatically activate 911. Depending on the circumstances, we'll even take the initiative in going in and trying to help if we do have access to the home. One of the issues that we have been seeing is the emergency contact lists have not been updated. Please make sure that your emergency contact list is always updated with administration. We can call your family and let them know if, in case you do have an emergency, and that way we will report immediately and take whatever necessary action is needed for you folks. So keep that in mind. We are a phone call away. In the event of an emergency, always call 911 first. You can follow up with me directly, Lieutenant Roman, and we'll go out and assist with you guys as much as we can. Moving forward with some issues that we have been seeing here at Sun Lakes, we've noticed that we do see a lot of our pedestrian gates left unlocked or unsecured. The pedestrian gates are designed to lock by themselves once you leave the community or enter behind you. We have seen sometimes pedestrians leave the gate slightly unsecured, which is an open invitation for our stragglers outside of Sun Lakes that just come in and use our facilities. We have responded. We have removed at least 4 confirmed individuals from Sun Lakes by our department without the assistance of Banning PD, which is good. We're responding to those calls immediately, and we're physically removing them from the facilities. But we'll catch them if we observe them, and we'll catch them if they're being reported. So if you do see somebody suspicious in the facilities, call us. We will go out there accordingly if we are available. But just make sure that you're securing your gates as when you do leave the community. It prevents people from coming in. We are also looking forward and preparing for an upcoming drill that's happening this month on October 17th. We're coordinating with EPAP. We normally do this once a year, and we play a certain scenario depending on the situation. This year is going to call for an active shooter situation. What that means is that we're going to practice the drill on how to better communicate with EPAP coordinators, our department, and Banning PD. It helps us know what steps we need to take to better serve the community and be prepared in case an event like that does take place here at Sun Lakes. That drill will be taking place on October 17th at 10:17 a.m. We're going to be working on communication skills with the EPAP department, and I'm sure Candace will fill you in more with that later on her time. We are enforcing citations out in the community. What we are seeing are a lot of concerns about vehicles that are parked on the streets and on their driveways. However, what we have noticed is that a lot of those vehicles do have disabled placards, which means we are not allowed to do anything to those cars. If you have a disabled placard visibly displayed either on your dashboard or on your license plate, legally you can park where you need to park. It is a law. I cannot enforce that here at Sun Lakes, unfortunately, and ask somebody to relocate a vehicle if they're taking up a certain spot and they are displaying a handicap placard. If you have questions about those laws and regulations, you can look them up in the California laws and rules regulations books as well. Other than that, we are closely monitoring our surrounding fires as well around the community. As you know, we are still in fire season, which means that we are actively looking for fires. And if we see smoke, we are actively looking at all of the alerts that are coming in real time. So when you guys call our stations and ask for information, we will be providing real data as it comes along to us through the website. With the fires being active, though, we do have a lot of wildlife that is coming down the mountains around this area. I don't know if you folks heard, but we had a little black bear in the northern part of the community that was observed earlier in the month of September. That was because of our fires. A lot of those wild animals are coming down the ridge from the mountain, and they're making their way into Sun Lakes. They're trespassing. We need to get them out. But we ask that residents please monitor their surroundings, secure your garages, put your little animals away as soon as possible. Do not leave them outside. If we're spawning a bear near the community, that bear's looking for food, and he's pretty hungry. So just if you guys see anything, lock it up. You can call security. We'll go out there and see what we can do to help out. But my guys are not equipped to wrestle a bear. So we will call PD, and they will come out to assist in that kind of situation. But the bear was observed late in the evening, so just be attentive. If you hear something in your backyard, just peek out, don't open your door, and remain safe. That's it. That's all I have for you folks for today. Do you guys have any questions for me? Wow, pretty thorough. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, folks. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, well, I don't see Banning PD here yet, so I'm going to introduce our next speaker, and what we're going to have to do, Ruth, come on up. This is Ruth Osborne from SCAN, and she's going to be doing a presentation for us. However, Ruth, I got to let you know, if Banning PD happens to walk in, we'll stop for just a minute because I don't want to keep him here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Yes, thank you for having me very much. I can stop and start, no problem. And, after our little kerfuffle here, we can get through whatever. So I'm pretty sure it wasn't recording it. It was definitely captioning it, but I've never had it happen. But he got rid of it. So thank you all for coming. As she said, my name is Ruth Osborne. I'm an employee of SCAN Health Plan. I am here today to talk to you about healthy eating on a budget. And this is probably something all of you have heard. You most likely implement some or all of it in your daily life, but just kind of a little reminder. Some things maybe we forget about, but just kind of reminder to go through it again. I'm not the medical expert on it. That is not my field of expertise. These are presentations that they give to us to do in the field, just as a benefit to you as a senior or a Medicare beneficiary, okay? So I will go through it, and if you have questions and it's something, remember, that doesn't require medical expertise, I'll be happy to try to answer when I'm finished, but do keep that in mind, because I'm not a nurse, I'm not a doctor, I'm a rep for SCAN Health Plan. Okay, so, agenda, go back to that. You've all been looking at that. But we're just going to talk about important nutrients for a healthy lifestyle, budget-friendly meals, and ways to save. And, ways to save, that's huge to all of us today with the way that everything has increased in cost. So we'll try to talk a little bit about that for you. And I hate to talk with my back to you, but I have to, so sorry. Healthy eating begins with you and me. I'm included in that. Giving your body the right nutrients and maintaining a healthy weight can help you stay healthy and independent. Staying healthy and independent is everyone's goal. Absolutely. So that's really where you want to focus. Nutritional guides for seniors, eating a variety of foods from each group while trying to limit sugar, saturated fats, and sodium. Make sure to eat enough protein. Make sure your diet contains enough potassium, calcium, vitamin D, dietary fiber, and vitamin B12. Drink lots of liquid. I know I hear a lot of my seniors say it's hard to drink the amount of liquid that the doctor tells me to drink. I'm in the car all day long, so it's really hard for me to drink the amount of liquid that I'm supposed to drink. But it's super important. I mean, that's one, especially during the summer months here. That's something that's so important to each of us. So try to find whatever that mechanism for you to make sure you get the right amount of liquid in every day. You know, whether it's a bottle that has lines on it and you hit a certain line by a time each day, whether it's an alarm on your phone, whether you're using, those bottles, which we shouldn't be, and you're, making sure you count 8 of them at the end of the day. Whatever your system is, try to have some kind of system in place so that you know you're getting the right amount of liquids throughout the day. Make sure your food is stored safely to prevent unnecessary illness. And this is, we think this is a no-brainer, right? But a lot of times, the way that we store our food in the refrigerator can cause us to get sick, and that's something that is so easily prevented. Let's make sure I'm not missing something on the side here. Well, it's not going to let me. Yes, maybe it is. Enjoy a variety of foods from each group, which helps reduce the risk of developing chronic disease such as high blood pressure, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease. I mean, as you know, these are conditions that we see in so many of the people around us and in ourselves. So if we're able to watch these different things, we may eliminate or lower the medications we're taking by what we put in our body, as well as, we feel better because of that. Be sure to choose foods with little to no added sugar, saturated fats, and sodium. And be careful with the saturated fats. I know we hear this over and over and over and over, but they really find ways to hide it when we're looking at the content on the back. Look for keywords so that they're not hiding extra saturated fats in that food, because that is super important. Get enough protein throughout the day to maintain muscle mass. Muscle mass, as I know that you all know, is super important, and it's really super important even as we get older, in order for us to maintain our daily living independence. So us getting the right amount of protein throughout the day is super important for that. So if you don't eat meat, find another way to get your protein, so that you're getting it throughout the day to maintain your strength, to maintain your energy, so that you can stay as independent as possible for you. Potassium, calcium, vitamin D, dietary fiber, and B12. Get as much as you can through your food. I know that sometimes we can't get as much of that through our food as we need to, and you could always talk to the doctor about a supplement if you're not getting what you need from your food, but those are super important as well. With age, you may lose some of the sense of thirst. We talked about how important it is to make sure you're getting the right amount of liquid. And with that liquid, making sure that it's drinks that are hydrating you and not super high in sugar, okay? Maintain a healthy, I think I'm reading all the notes. Hold on. I'm jumping ahead. Okay. Important nutrients. Lean meats, poultry, fish, beans, eggs, nuts. So these foods are low in saturated fats, trans fats, cholesterol, salt, and added sugars. These are things that most of us should be able to add into our diet unless we just don't eat any meat at all. And these are great sources that we can rely on. These foods are low in saturated fats, trans fats, cholesterol, salt. Saturated fats are mostly found in animal fats such as butter, cream, cheese, lard. I use my mom as an example a lot, and she actually comes with me to some of the presentations, but she is what I call a picture of health, and she works very hard to be that at 77, but she has hereditary high cholesterol, and her numbers for the doctors are off the charts. And she has eliminated all of these things right here. And so I tell her she has the most boring diet in the world. And if you go and eat with her, you look at what she's eating and, no one wants to eat it. But she has, other than hereditary high cholesterol, she really, she has nothing. And she runs circles around me and my brothers and sisters, and I'm one of 7. And that's at 77 years old. She still travels all the time. She's extremely active. Yesterday she called and said, because most of my siblings are teachers, and so with the air quality, schools were canceled yesterday in the Yucaipa area. And so she called looking for someone to do something with. I got to get out of the area. I can't go outside because of the air quality. I got to get out of the area. So she literally rode with me to do all of my appointments in Palm Springs yesterday because she's got to get out of the area because she can't be inside all day, But, I look at it as an extremely boring way of eating, but she's super healthy. So even if you don't completely eliminate them, if that's something that you need to work on, just think about that. And those are what we call animal fats. So impossible, limit the intake as much as possible, especially if you have high cholesterol and high blood pressure. Trans fats can be natural or artificial. Small amounts of trans fats occur naturally in beef and dairy foods. They can also be found in cookies, crackers, icing, potato chips, stick margarine, all that sugary food that, a lot of us like. I took after my dad's side of the family, not my mom's side of the family. About 80% of trans fats in American diet come from factory-produced, partially hydrogenated vegetable oil. And that's something that most of us know. If you think about it, most of us know that those types of food just aren't good for us, So maybe eating a little less of those help us have a healthier lifestyle, help us live a little longer, be a little more active. Trans fats are listed under the fat category on the nutrition facts label. It is not just about eating to fill your bellies, but becoming more conscious about the quality of food that we put in our bodies. The goal, get the most nutritional bang for our buck. Okay? So we want to be full, but we don't want to fill up on all the things that are empty, basically, right? So if we're going to eat, we're going to look at this category, right? I'm going to have maybe a piece of chicken and something that's going to help fill me up protein-wise rather than going and having a couple cookies. And being on the road, a lot of times I'll grab something if I haven't planned ahead of time that's not quite as healthy for me because I didn't plan ahead. So if I'm doing well during the week, I'll plan ahead and take my little cooler with me for during the day. Whereas if I don't plan ahead, I'm looking for a El Pollo Loco, I'm looking for a Chipotle to try to find something that I can maybe choose something that's a little healthier for me. Okay? It doesn't always work though. Nutritional tips. Try adding seafood, dairy, or fortified soy alternatives along with beans, peas, and lentils. Add fruits and vegetables to meals and snacks. Make eating a social event. Meals are more enjoyable with others. Eat enough protein and fortified foods, aka fortified cereals. Discuss all dietary supplements with your healthcare provider. Yes, good tips, right? I mean, the social aspect of it, I think in our society, a lot of times when we get together, we're getting together to eat, right? One of the other presentations we do is staying active, and one of the things we talk about in there is, plan a lunch date, because it's super important to stay active as well, but one of the things we talk about is plan a lunch date one day, because the social aspect of that is super important. Plan a walking date the next day, right? But we do a lot in our society around eating. So it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing to a sense, as long as we're choosing the right things when we're getting together to eat socially. The only time I really get together with all of my siblings is when we're getting together for a special occasion, and it's always centered around eating. So it's just about making the right choices, right, when we get together for those social times. But as we get older and the closest ones around us are passing away, make sure you're still doing things as much as possible with groups or friends, because that's super important. It's super important for so many aspects. Okay? The plate format, and I know you've seen this before. This is a great example of a balanced meal. For adults, it is recommended that 50% of your plate be fruits and vegetables, 25% grains, and 25% protein-rich foods. So, I mean, it can't be much more straightforward than that, right? So when you make your plate, you want half of it to be your fruits and vegetables, basically your fist-sized portion of protein, your fist-sized portion of grains. If you did Weight Watchers, you know where I got that. But you just, set your plate up to that design, and if you do that, then you know you're getting the proper balance of vegetables, fruits, protein, and your grains. And then along with, make sure you're getting the proper amount of dairy every day, okay? And if you want to look more at that, you can go to the choosemyplate.gov, and it gives you more examples of that too. And it just says that the plate is simply a balanced diet. It helps people with diabetes see how much space each food should take on their plate. Yeah, that's what we already talked about that. Benefits from eating healthy. It's maintain nutrients needed by the body, such as potassium, calcium, vitamin D, B12, minerals, and dietary fiber. It could help you lose weight or maintain a healthy weight, reduce the risk of developing chronic disease such as high blood pressure, diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. If you have a chronic disease, eating well can help manage the disease. Meet individual calorie or nutrition needs, help to maintain energy levels. So I feel like this isn't rocket science, or this isn't news to any of us, right? The chronic condition thing is something that I know we hear over and over and over and over. My dad had high blood pressure for 10 years, and like really high blood pressure for 10 years, and constantly was, trying a new diet, doing something different to try to lose weight and get it under control naturally, because he didn't want to take medication. He ended up having a massive stroke. So it's serious. It's really serious. So if the doctor's telling you to take medication or get it under control with your diet and exercise, I would say definitely follow what the doctor's telling you, because so much of what we eat and what we put in our body controls chronic conditions or prevents chronic conditions. So this is definitely, having a healthy eating style can prevent and help manage chronic disease so much. And energy levels, I mean, you think about this. If you eat a piece of lean meat and a vegetable and a starch versus stopping at Cane's or McDonald's. I don't even know the last time I went to McDonald's, or think about your favorite fast food restaurant. Think about how you feel afterwards. I mean, I know for me, on the days that I do give in and do that because I didn't plan ahead, I need to go take a nap. I mean, literally. And even if I just get a chicken sandwich and go, because I don't get a grilled chicken sandwich, right? I need to take a nap when I'm done. So the way that it makes us feel is huge. So maintaining a healthy way of eating, the energy level is huge for that too. Okay, budget-friendly meals. Breakfast on a budget. Quick cooked oatmeal with raisins and skim milk. Then your choice, juice, cantaloupe alongside, coffee. I mean, literally, I'm not sure it still costs $1.42, but they say they did this for 2024. You might minimum double that, but I mean, this is a quick, pretty inexpensive breakfast if you're doing it at home, right? And this is nutrition. It's a lot of nutritional value there, okay? Let's see if it gives us any nutritional content. No. Lunch on a budget. Sandwich with reduced fat peanut butter, slice of banana, and whole wheat bread. Apple on the side, iced tea to drink. Same thing. I'm sure it costs a little more than that, but this is a very inexpensive lunch. If you're a light eater, this is giving you a little bit of protein, putting a fruit in there for you, some fiber in there, and it gives you some substance to keep you through the day. You're still, as you know, you're still wanting to add in some snacks, whether it's some nuts. You're still wanting to add in some snacks because you're still going to need some other protein throughout the day. Because even if this did fill you up, this is not going to fill me up, but even if this did fill you up, you're still going to need some protein between lunch and dinner, or breakfast and lunch, whatever it might be, okay? You might have to make 2 of those. Dinner on a budget. Spaghetti with ground turkey and sauce, with mushrooms, peppers, onions, tomatoes and cucumber with your salad, and a glass of water. $5.25. That you could probably do spaghetti for that because you're making a pot of spaghetti and you're not the only one eating it typically when you make spaghetti. And that's going to fill you up. That's some substance there, right? Spaghetti's a pretty inexpensive meal to cook. I have a stepson that's 17 and actually just turned 18. Wow. They think they're adults. I've already raised 2. He's not an adult. They're not adults either, and they're 20 and 25. They're not adults yet. But anytime him and his buddies come over, the go-to is spaghetti because they're going to eat a lot, and it's not cheap to feed 5 football players at 17 and 18 years old. So, but even, that's hearty food. You got some nutritional content there, and it's pretty inexpensive. Okay. Whole or as-is food. Fruits and vegetables, oats, brown or wild rice, legumes, beans, lentils, chickpeas, popcorn, whole grain varieties, bulgur, not even sure what that is, you probably can tell me, quinoa, barley, unsalted nuts, almonds, peanuts, pecans. These are things that you're getting foods in their natural state. So they've not been broken down, right? Not processed. So when we think of brown rice or wild rice versus white rice has been very processed. So the nutritional value, even though it's much better in flavor, the nutritional value is just not the same because it's been processed so much. Ways to save. Ways to save fruits and vegetables. Fresh, raw, in season are the cheapest. This is not always the truth, depending on where you get seasonal fruits and vegetables. But if you're able to get it, at a local, from someone locally or a garden, it's definitely the cheapest. If you're having to buy it at a local fruit stand, it's not always your cheapest route. But it is definitely your best option if it's available to you for so many reasons. They've typically been allowed to ripen on their own, and they are just better for you. Fruits and vegetables that are forced to ripen in a greenhouse have such a high content of lectins in it that are so bad for our bodies that if you're able to eat vegetables and fruits that are in season and been able to ripen on their own, in general, are 100 times better for us. Try a local farmer's market. Great option, but I'm not saying that's always cheaper for you, but it is definitely a better option as far as health-wise. And then frozen or dried. This is a year-round option. Beware, cut and or bagged items will be more expensive. So, I mean, we know this. If we go to the store and buy the apples that are pre-cut and in a sealed bag, first of all, they don't taste real great because they've put preservatives in there to keep them fresh. And they're more expensive because they've did that for your convenience, right? If we buy a bag of onions like their example is, typically it's more expensive because they've got them bagged for you, whereas if you just go buy 1 or 2 onions that you're going to use before they go bad, that's less expensive, okay? I never buy a whole bag of onions because they go bad way before I use that whole bag of onions. And then I've wasted the onions, I've wasted money. Same thing with potatoes. The only time I buy a big bag of potatoes is when we're doing a holiday meal with my huge family, you know, because to use a whole bag of potatoes before they go bad, I've wasted the money, I've wasted the food, okay? Other shopping tips: beware of labels claiming health food. Overprocessed, overpackaged equals higher cost and lower nutritional value. Plan meals, make lists, drink tap water. Generic and store brand versus brand name, okay? So take that for what it's worth. It is extremely important that you read foods labels. Some food companies often use misleading claims or labels to make you think that foods are healthier than they really are. So be careful with that. Make sure you really read what it says. And that's really one of the big things even with fats. Overprocessed, overpackaged. Food is made from real food that has been put through chemical processes and is infused with chemicals and preservatives. Beef jerky, canned meats and vegetables, and hot dogs are a few examples of processed foods. As a general rule, if you don't recognize or can't pronounce the words on a label, don't buy it, don't eat it. Opt instead for the real thing. You pay the cost, direct and indirect, for processing and packaging. Compare prices of packages versus bulk long grain rice next time you are in the store. Many brands also pay extra for their products to be at eye level. So look lower or higher for bargains. Just like, you know, things at the checkout. They're there for a reason. Plan meals and make a list. And I'm sure this is huge for all of you. When we plan ahead and we make a list when we go to the store, we don't just grab, right? We typically buy what's on the list. We might think of a couple other things we missed, but we typically buy what's on our list. So plan ahead, plan the meals you're going to eat, write down the things you need for those meals, and buy what's on your list. Drink tap water. Okay, let's see what they say on this. One area where you can save money is by drinking tap water rather than bottled water. Studies have shown that many bottled water companies simply bottled municipal tap water. A gallon of tap water is less than 1 cent, while bottled water can range from $1 to $4 per gallon. If you don't like the taste, a simple filtration system like Brita or Pure can transform ordinary tap water to cleaner, better tasting water without the cost of being bottled. Now, the filtration system, yes, agree with 100%. I mean, remember, I'm not the scientist here. And you probably know this as well. If you know, I thought they were saying straight from the tap, right? We have well, we won't even go into that, but just buy a jug that goes into the fridge, if you don't want to do a whole system on your faucet and all that. You can buy the Brita or the Pure jug that goes into your fridge, a gallon, half gallon at a time. It filters it through, and then you have cold water in the fridge. And typically, those taste fine. So, and that saves buying bottles or jugs of water, okay? So that is definitely a huge saving, and there's not plastic involved in it. Brand versus generic. Would it surprise you to know that a lot of them are manufactured at the same places as their brand counterparts? Most store brand products cost 30 to 50% less than premium brands. So they're certainly worth a try. So compare the labels and then try them. I know there's some things that some of us, we can't tell the difference. Some things you can definitely tell the difference. So if that's an area where you can save some money on it, right? Great snacks, cottage cheese, almonds, baby carrots. I'd rather cut the carrots up, but baby carrots, Skinny Pop, or if you are better with it, just pop plain popcorn. Where we get ourselves in trouble is where we add a bunch of butter on it and add a bunch of salt. Graham crackers. Going to a restaurant, expensive and less healthy. So try to eat out less, make it a special treat. Portion distortion. Better to share or take half home. So it says, how many of you enjoy eating out? While it is an enjoyable experience, there are some dangers to eating out, especially if you do it often. Why? Because restaurant food generally tends to be high in fat, cholesterol, and salt. So I'm not going to tell you not to eat out. I'm not the doctor. But I think it's just say in moderation, right? Choose wisely. And you obviously already know I've did Weight Watchers before because I told you if you knew the portion control thing. Another thing they teach you is when you order a meal, when you get your plate delivered to you, ask for a to-go box at the same time and to put half of it in that to-go box when they bring you your dish. So this would be one way you would know you're going to eat less, because typically, not always, but typically at a restaurant, they bring you too much food to start out with. So you would know right off the bat you're only going to eat half of that. So if you are splurging, you're going to only eat half in that setting on that splurge meal, right? So just, it's making better choices, and then you're not going to eat as much. So that would be an option. And if you think about your lifestyle, if you think, okay, maybe that is an area where I could cut back some and save myself a few dollars, then that's something you can think about, right? Or sharing it. If you went to lunch with a girlfriend or something and you pick a dish that you could share. That's always an option as well. All right, other resources. Financial assistance for seniors, senior centers where there's low-cost daily lunches, food banks, and then senior information line statewide. So, and you probably know this information, the financial senior assistance, the senior centers. I know at both the Banning and the Beaumont Senior Center, there's lunches available at very little to nothing in cost to you. So if you're looking at somewhere to save on meals, that will help you. There's different food banks available to you. If they don't have the information here, there's information at the senior centers as well for that. And even if you just go for the fresh vegetables and stuff to add to your meals, sometimes you can just go and pick up a box of vegetables and fruit. All right, do you have questions? And remember, no questions that require a medical point of view. All right, well, that's too easy. Did I miss one? All right. So thank you all for your time. I know that we have, just from when you entered, we have quite a few SCAN members that have our insurance. Thank you all for being members. You are who make us what we are. I've worked for SCAN for 8 years. I've been in the industry for over 20 years, and you truly are who make us what we are as an organization. So thank you for coming and listening to me go on today. There's some bars and pens and waters up here. If I can answer other questions for you, feel free to come and ask me. If you've gotten your notice of change for next year and you want to come ask me some questions about it, feel free to do so. I had one gentleman waiting on me when I got here. But thank you for your time, and thank you, Michelle, for allowing me to come and talk to you all today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ruth. So if you have any questions, Ruth, do you want to, maybe we could bring this table and bring it over to the side here, and you can answer any questions if people have any questions that they want to speak to you specifically? Sure. Okay. Bob, would you help her bring this table over here, or maybe in the back there where it won't disrupt? Oh, that's your job. Okay, Bob will help you. Okay, so our next presenter is going to be Candace, and I think this is Hernan's notification to come down here. So Candace Jenkins and Janice Rice are going to do a little presentation also. Give Hernan just a few minutes, and then you can have Valerie, but let them know what you're going to do.
Okay, we're going to play tag team here. I'm Janice Rice. I am the Public Information Officer for EPAP. And what Valerie and Candace are going to go over in a little bit, the steps to preparedness and also our EPAP drill. But what I want to show you guys real quickly, because this is pretty easy to do in most cases, and this is throw together, and I'm literally saying throw together because Candace and I did this yesterday, a stay at home. We always talk about the go bag. Well, this is a stay at home bag. If you have to shelter in place, you may not be able to get into your house, to your pantry, to whatever. So this box should contain at least 7 days worth of food and supplies for you. So to start off with, this little duffel bag has my clothes in it. Shoes, panties, bras, change of clothes. You can wear it several days in a row, throw it in. This, and there's a place called Deal Busters in Hemet, and it is a great place to get weird stuff. This is a emergency blanket. It sells on Amazon for almost $30, $3. So if you can always find great deals. Something that I didn't think about until I read it on the little list, make sure you have a little, we used to call them ditty bags in Girl Scouts. They actually suggest you have the washcloth sewn together so you can dip it in there. But just utensils and plates. Hygiene. These I also got at that Deal Busters. These things are like $12 on Amazon, $3. So there's all that kind of stuff. Then one essential thing that you should have inside your emergency is an emergency kit. It does not have to be this elaborate, but if you have tape, your gauze, so in case you get a puncture wound, you can hold it on. A tourniquet. Of course, not everybody's going to want to do a tourniquet because they can be pretty tricky, but it's not a bad thing to have. Also, in case you've been in an earthquake, here's a hard hat. If you've been in a flood, we've got gloves in here. We've got a face mask because you don't know what you might be breathing. Here again, just things that you're not really thinking about. Then when it comes to your food, they need to be things that will last, have a shelf life. So when you're buying them, make sure you look at the expiration date. We were saying that these apricots, they'll last over a year. And so these are things that, when you think about it, and some things last longer. Then really essential is information on you. Your driver's license, your social security card, don't put the real ones in there, make copies. Make sure this is in there. Also, this is my emergency list. I got this off of AARP. AARP, ready.gov, CAL FIRE. These are all great places, and I wrote them here. So if you want to look at this, places that you can go to just get all kinds of information. Also, before you leave, we have some of the checkoff sheets that has this stuff and more. A shelter in place, and then if you have a caregiver, there's another sheet in there that is about, if you're taking care of someone or you have a caregiver, make sure that you have everything ready. You've got the other people in your family. Make sure you have enough information and enough supplies that you're all taken care of, and include your pets. Don't forget your pets. They're part of your family. So that was a 25-second, no, maybe a little longer, review of what you should have in your stay-at-home box. Now, a lot of this stuff is also in our go bags. And it's easy to just pick your go bag and up. And one thing I want to say, most of your stay-at-home barrels are barrels. They're hard to get stuff into. And if you need to get to them, you got to throw everything out or dig down. This is on wheels. It's great big, wrong way. Wheels are on this side. But anyway, you can store it in your garage, wheel it where you need to go. So if you needed to get out, you could. So that's it. Anybody have any questions? That was like really quick. All right, good. She's on now.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the upcoming drill. As Mike Romero mentioned, it will be October 17th at 10:17 in the morning, and it will be a shelter-in-place drill due to an active shooter. So in our drill, what is happening is someone will come over the fence on La Costa, which is right by the main gate. It's those condos there. They'll run down La Costa, go between a set of the condos onto the golf course, and then start pretending to shoot people that are on the golf course. So that's the basis of the drill. What will happen is EPAP executive team will notify the EPAP coordinators, the district delegates, and the communication unit, which is the radio team, and administration. So all of those will be notified by text message. Once the EPAP coordinators have received their text message, they then are going to send a text message or phone call to their zone captains. Their zone captains will then get on their telephones and either call or text the individuals assigned to them in their zone. And we will tell them that this is a shelter in place and that this is a drill. So we will, at that point, have police arrive. They will chase the suspect on the golf course. They will neutralize him, pretend ambulances and other paramedics, fire departments will come in to tend those individuals that have been wounded or have been fatally injured on the golf course. Once the shooter has been neutralized, we then will receive that information from Mike Romero and his team. We will then notify the EPAP coordinators, again via text, all of the same people that we notified about the drill. We will notify that we now have an all clear. So once the EPAP coordinators have received their notice that we are all clear, they then will contact their zone captains. And again, the zone captains are going to call or text the individuals in their zone. We have told the zone captains if they do not get an answer, just go on to the next person. So if we don't reach out to you or you don't get a phone call, it's because you missed it or we don't have a correct phone number. If there are injuries, then the medical response team, after we have received the all clear, can go out and tend to those individuals in their home. So that is the drill. Do you have any questions?
Candace, do they need to put their yellow cards out?
They do not need to put the yellow placards in their window because we are not sending the zone captains out. We want them safe in their homes, just like we want all of the residents safe in their homes.
Will it actually be ambulances and, the sound of ambulances and sirens?
No, unless we can somehow simulate it. But no, we will not have real ambulances or the real police here.
Hi, I'm a zone captain, and when I make the calls, invariably, I will be getting questions. What do you suggest I respond to likely questions?
I would simply say it was reported to us there's an active shooter by holds 16 and 17. I do not know any other information, which is true. We won't. Yes. 17 and 18. I lied. You can't trust me. Yeah. Yeah.
This information, and we'll get to you, this information was in the October's Lifestyle magazine. They can read that. It's going to be with our delegates in the EPAP bulletin, which should go in every newsletter. We have put this out in so many places. So hopefully they will not have questions if they're paying attention to life.
Is everybody going to be notified?
Everyone should be notified via every resident should be notified via their zone captain. So if you answer your phone, they will tell you that we are having a drill, that it's a shelter in place, and that there is an active shooter.
Okay, and how would we know who the team captain is?
I would recommend that you talk to your district delegate and ask them who the EPAP coordinator is for your district. What district are you in?
1.
That's Gail. Gail, so she is your EPAP coordinator. I don't know who your zone captains are.
Question over here.
Remember, zone captains, inform your residents of your phone number and your name so you're on their phone, so it doesn't come up as unknown. You should be known to your residents as they are to you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, Valerie, would you like to come up? Valerie is with the Emergency Management Department of Riverside, and she's going to give a presentation on the 12 steps to disaster preparedness. So, Valerie, I'm going to hand the mic to you, and it's all yours.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Valerie. I'm one of the emergency services coordinators with the County of Riverside Emergency Management Department. I cover District 5, which will include the cities of Banning, Beaumont, Calimesa, Moreno Valley, San Jacinto, and Hemet. Okay, sorry. Okay. So why be prepared? So these are just a couple of examples as to why we should be prepared. So we know first responders will be overwhelmed. They'll most likely be busy attending to other emergency calls. So we always want to be prepared within our community and also within our homes. The next one, infrastructure. So we know when a disaster happens, we'll go with the example of an earthquake. We know that depending on the magnitude of the earthquake, we know that a lot of infrastructure will be damaged. This will include like freeways, streets, even main streets that may come in here into the community. And lastly, the hospitals. So we know our hospitals are already overpopulated. So we know that in the event of a disaster, we know that it's going to be even over capacity. So we want to make sure that we're also prepared in our homes with either a small first aid kit, something that can be for yourself. So this here just shows an example of the different faults within the county. So we have the San Andres Fault, we have San Jacinto Fault, Elsinore Fault, and the Imperial Fault. And you can see the way that they go through the different cities within California, so that'll just kind of give you an idea about how many fault lines there actually is. So this just shows what would happen in the event of an earthquake. So we know that it's going to lead all the way up. And this is just giving an example of a 7.8 magnitude earthquake. Centered in the Salton Coachella Valley area. So we know that it's going to extend just way up. We know that one of the faults is about 800 miles. And that'll be our San Andres Fault that runs about that far out. So that just gives us an example of how many people will be affected. It won't just be us, but it could be all up in the state as well. All right. Okay, so we'll go through our 12 steps. So step 1, have a plan. So we want to identify hazards, identify safe spots, identify evacuation routes, responsibility, utility shutoffs, and also meeting places. So with this, we want to know in our homes and even in this building here, what are hazards that you guys see here? For example, we can see here the big lamps. That's going to be one of the hazards. So just making sure, be aware of your surroundings and also where your exits are as well. So we know we have the 2 exits here in the back, and as well, I think we have another one here and over here. So just being aware, and also in your homes, just knowing, have a clear space within your front pathway and even your backyard, wherever it's safely easy for you to evacuate. And responsibilities. So with that, I know you as a community, you have your own community program, so you guys are assigned different responsibilities. But even in your home, if you live with your significant other, kind of play out who's going to have what role in the scenario of a disaster. So you can go ahead and decide that between the 2 of you, and also make a plan about how you guys will go about when a disaster happens. Step 2, store drinking water. So, do any of you have water in your cars? Maybe like emergency water, or even like a case of waters? All right, so it's also nice to, having something in your vehicle, because as many of us know, sometimes we're not always home when a disaster happens. So being able to be ready, basically anywhere you go, is also something to keep in mind. So just making sure, you can also buy emergency water like in can forms, something where the plastic won't deteriorate. It does get hot here. So just keeping that in mind, and also doing some research, anything that's going to benefit you as well. So just having that in mind of different emergency drinking water you can have. And then you'll want to plan for 1 gallon per day per person. So depending how many people are in your household, you'll want to take into accountability about that. And I know it does say consider additional water sources. So maybe if your water's still working inside your house, maybe like your sink, your shower, but just being mindful of stuff. And then also, lastly, don't forget about your pets. So if you do have pets, also take in consideration that they're also going to need water as well. So just additional water for them also. So these are just some examples of the water purification and storage that you can use. So they even come in small bags as well, and you could look up either through different websites or even through Amazon. So like I said, you can just do your research to see which one will benefit you. Step 3, food and household goods. So we want to store 1 week minimum of non-perishable foods, keep in a dry, cool spot, and inspect all foods for spoilage. So sometimes I know we have food stored in our pantries and we don't always check when they're expired. So just, being mindful of whenever you're purchasing stuff, just checking the dates often here and there. You can go through your pantry every so often and just check on any items that you have in there and make sure to just replace them to have sufficient enough for yourself and other family members when a disaster does happen. And lastly, you don't want to forget about pet foods, baby formula, in case you guys have any family members that visit you. So if you have little ones that come and visit you, you'll also want to have maybe some additional stuff for them in case, like I said, an emergency happens, you'll be able to help out your family members. And these are just some different examples of disaster food supplies. So you can buy like the packaged ones, even dry nuts, anything that's going to be non-perishable you can buy. So like canned tuna, canned fruit, as I mentioned, nuts. All right. And step 4, protection of family and business assets. So do a lot of us know where all of our personal assets are in our homes? Do we have it in one place? Does anybody have every document in one specific spot? Okay, so that does help, right? In case of an emergency, it's always nice to be able to have those documents handy, whether you have it like in a storage unit, even a storage bag, something where if an emergency happens, you find it quickly and you can go ahead and take that with you. We can also take into account like the wildfires that we've had happen as well. A lot of people had to evacuate their homes. And we know when it comes to evacuation, time is of the essence. So we just want to make sure that we have copies and or not the originals in one specific spot that we're going to be able to locate them in case of an emergency. And then we do also want to have some cash available. So sometimes the ATM is not always going to work. If there's an emergency, most likely they won't work. So we want to make sure that we have some cash in our home. So that would include smaller bills, maybe $1, $5 bills in case you have to go out and purchase anything. Sometimes they might not have any change. So you just want to keep that in mind to just have some extra, even coins and smaller bills. Another recommendation would be if you want to upload all of your personal documents into a flash drive, that's always possible as well. That way later on you have access to them, and then if you do need to provide any type of proof, you have everything in your flash drive handy. It's a small little flash drive, so that's also another option for you guys to have it saved on there as well. So step 5, protective clothing and equipment. So we want to make sure we have some heavy-duty gloves, some heavy-duty boots, anything that you may need if a disaster happens. So we have the safety goggles, so and also protection from the elements. And don't forget your go kits. I know Janice mentioned about having a go kit, so just always want to keep that in mind as well. Just have extra PPE in there when a disaster happens. I know a lot of us are used to wearing either sandals or used to wearing tennis shoes, but we just want to make sure maybe we have like some extra sturdy boots in case we have to do some walking or in case we're walking through unsafe space. We want to make sure to protect our feet and not cause further injury. As mentioned, medical will be delayed, so we don't want to injure ourselves. And these are, for step 6, we'll come on to the first aid supplies. So we have build first aid kits for your home, car, school, and work. Does anybody have a first aid kit inside their vehicles? Okay, a few of us. So it'd be nice, to have an extra kit in your vehicle in case, like I mentioned, if you're not home, you always have one extra handy there. And just making sure you're rotating your supplies every so often. We know that the alcohol pads can get very dry, so we would just want to make sure that we're switching them often and inputting new ones, and always just rechecking our kits every so often. and extra prescriptions as well. So we want to take into account a 30-day supply. So if a lot of us take different medications, making sure that we have extra of those in case we just never know how long the disaster can be for. So we just want to make sure we have that handy as well. All right, step 7, we have some alternative heating and lighting sources. So for heating, I know they have small blankets that usually come in if you buy like emergency kits. You can also purchase those. I think I see one right here. So this would be a perfect example as well to keep in your go kits and your first aid kits, anything to basically have it handy for you there. And then for lighting, we want to make sure we have some flashlights and extra batteries as well. We don't recommend the candles because candles can cause a fire. Sometimes we tend to leave them in one spot and we get distracted, walk away. And if we're talking about an earthquake, we can also have a secondary one come in, knock it down, and then we're in trouble. So we just want to make sure to keep in mind flashlights, extra batteries. In this video, the purpose of this is just to show you how fast a fire can grow, just leaving a candle out.
Yeah.
Mhm. So you guys can kind of see the point of maybe not having candles, but if you need to, that would be the last resort. But like I said, just have your extra flashlights, keep them handy, keep them in your car, keep them at home, anywhere where you'll have them accessible to you. So maybe have one in each room, even in the bathroom. All right, so step 8, emergency prep books and literature. How many of us like to read? Some of us, or even social media, right? There's a lot of stuff online that'll show you preparedness as well, kind of educate you on different things. You can also do like different DIYs as well. So, anything that you can fix inside your home. So just having that knowledge as well can also be very beneficial in an emergency, kind of has you think outside the box. So always look into different books, even like first aid, even like your basic stop the bleed, if some of you guys know and have that knowledge. So it's always nice to just catch up, and things are always changing. So it's nice for us to keep expanding our knowledge on, emergency and how to better prepare ourselves. And there's also different earthquake, flooding, and fire pamphlets as well. And I also brought a few of them with me here, so I'll pass, if you guys are interested, it'll give you a little bit more information as well. And as I mentioned, YouTube and social media. If some of us like to watch something online, it's always nice to just catch up. And right here, you can see the home repair. So just being able to do simple repairs in your home, that's something fun you can learn. Step 9, alternative communications. So having a battery-powered radio and solar. I know you guys have your own radio system as well here, right? Okay. So also like listening to your local radio stations, listening for emergency alert systems or wireless emergency alerts. It's also good to have an out-of-state contact as well. Sometimes something might happen here, but something might not happen in another state. So just being able to maybe have a contact out of state would be helpful. Check in with them, letting them know you're okay. As you see, a lot of us now are seeing other disasters that are happening. For example, like the hurricane that just happened. So just looking out for one another and being able to communicate with one another. And with this communications, we do also have our Genesis that we're using a lot. So on our Genesis, you can download the app onto your phone as well. And it'll basically show you the zones that you're in. So we work with CAL FIRE and the Sheriff's Department with the Genesis. So this here will show you any evacuation warnings, orders that are issued if an emergency does happen. So I'll put up a link at the end as well. That way you guys can check out the alert RIFCOs that we have. That way you guys can sign up for that and then always be in the know in case something happens either near here or even here in Banning itself. Step 10, waste disposal. So we know that trash will take longer than usual to come. So that could mean that it could also take some days. So just being mindful of how we store our waste products. So this is going to include like your pets, yourself, also anything hazardous, any other materials. You want to make sure that you're tying them up in baggies real tight. We know that sometimes there's squirrels, skunks that maybe can get into it or any other type of animal. So we just want to be mindful of how we are using our waste disposal. So even we know when it's a holiday, they're delayed a day already coming to pick up our trash. So just keeping in mind that we don't know how long it'll be. It could be a week, 2 weeks, and the trash piles up quickly. So just be mindful of how you dispose of it. And step 11, protecting your family and property. So we do offer, we have our CERT courses, CERT classes, LISTOs as well, and then with this, the 12 steps to preparedness. So just letting your community know, have them be more involved, signing up for a CERT course. I know we're trying to organize one here for the community for a CERT class in January. So we encourage everybody to attend. It's great. It's a 3-day course. So it's Friday evening, Saturday all day, Sunday all day as well, and then you receive a certificate. So it's a really fun class. It shows you disaster preparedness. It shows you how to do utility shut-offs. It shows you your basic fire safety. So we'll use like the fire extinguisher and how to put out a fire. And it goes on to a little bit of other topics as well. So it's an interesting course. And also learn to defend yourself in a manner that is in line with your personal values. So anything that's going to protect yourself, you'll want to give yourself that knowledge. So just ensuring that you're always educating yourself, always educating your community and your family. And we have our step 12, our care for pets. So we never want to forget about our pets, right? So just ensuring that we have extra water for them, extra food for them, maybe even like a first aid kit for them. Sometimes they get injured, they get scared, something happens, they just sometimes run off. So just keeping our pets in mind as well. And also keeping any medical records for them also, just so you have a list of any shots that they may have in case you go anywhere where they do ask you for those types of documents because you have your pet with you. You want to make sure those are just as important as it is to have your personal items as well. And then we're always stronger together. So just making sure we're always looking out for one another, educating one another, encouraging one another to come to the CERT class, to come to the presentation and listen in and be there for one another. And this just goes into a little bit of what our CERT program is. So CERT members do not deploy themselves. Also, CERT members, if you become injured, they will not be covered as a volunteer disaster worker if you self-deploy. So just keeping that in mind, you won't just self-deploy yourself. Somebody would be the one to reach out to you. And this here's just my contact information if you guys have any questions or are interested in any different presentations, that'll be my information there. And then like I said, I have some pamphlets up here, and I'm gonna leave up some links. So this is before the disaster, so preparing yourself for the before, and this is after the disaster, and our CERT information. So I just highly encourage you guys to sign up for, or download the app for the Genesis. That way you guys have that on your phone handy.
Valerie, could you explain Genesis one more time to them and kind of explain how to get it on their phone? A lot of them don't. She helped me last time, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, so it's just the Genesis Protect. It's a green little icon. If you look at it on your phone, you type in Genesis, GENASYS. It'll pop up on the App Store, so it'll be both for Apple and for Android. Genesis, GENASYS. So that'll show you the different zones that you're in. So it'll show you the zones that you're in here in the community, even zones if you have like family members in other areas. So this is what we use to alert the community when we have evacuation warnings, orders in place. So if there's anything happening nearby, if you want to set up like your current location, it'll pop up and send you something if anything's happening in your area. So it's pretty neat. It'll highlight different sections, so I know the orders are going to be in a red, the warnings are in a yellow, so each one has a different meaning. If you look through the app, you could look even through the line fire. They use it as well, so you guys can just play around with it and see how the evacuation warnings and orders are on there. So this would just be very informative for you guys to have as an extra backup of information.
Valerie, didn't you also have something on rivco.org, or is
Yeah.
it okay?
So you can go on our Alert Rivco as well, and you'll just sign up it'll be just your information there, and you can submit, sign up for like alerts, so different alerts also. So you can do that as well, and that'll be, I don't have it up here, but I have some pamphlets that'll explain that link to you, that'll show you. So it's our Rivco Ready here. So we have Rivco Ready and Alert Rivco. So we have a pamphlet here that I can just leave some up here for you guys. If you guys want to grab them at the end. Yeah.
I didn't catch, where is the CERT class going to be?
The CERT class? Mm-hmm. Oh, so it'll be in January.
And where?
Have you guys picked here? Would it be here? Okay.
Oh,
so it's going to be here. Yeah.
Okay, that's
and then
good.
you can sign up. So if you go to our Alert Rivco, it says the Rivco CERT. And I know we might also send out some flyers with Janice and Candace as well. That way they can share with you guys, and you guys can have the QR code on how to sign up as well. Oh, it's going to be on the EPAP Sun Lake, so you guys can look there once we have the official flyer done for you guys and everything. There's a QR code on there, and even probably the website, and you guys can just sign up. And it'll be January 16th, 17th, 18th. Yeah. Mm-mm. Yeah, it's a free class. You get a backpack with it as well. It'll have like a helmet, safety goggles, and other stuff in there. And then you'll just receive a certificate that says that you're certified. So.
Any other questions for Valerie? No? She answered all your questions about emergency? Well, thank you, Valerie. We appreciate you coming out. David has one.
I'll just make a comment. Our son lived in Temecula, a couple of grandchildren, and he knew that I had a 50-gallon container of fresh water that we keep fresh. And so he said, if we ever have a problem here when the big one hits, we're coming to your house. It's one of the blue containers that you showed a number of them, because water is an issue that we heard a lot about today, and water is really important. So that's what we've done, is staying away from the plastic. We have the big green, it's blue, it's a big blue 50 gallon. So think about getting a larger container that you can keep fresh.
Janice has a question.
It's not a question, it's a comment. Please do not think that we have lakes here at Sun Lakes that you can go drink out of, because you cannot. They have lots and lots of chemicals in them, and even if you have the pills or the straw, or unless you're going to boil it for 5 hours and do the dehumidifier or whatever you could do with it, you should not drink our lake water. Toilet water would be safer.
I fell in during golf, so I concur. So,
Any other questions? Well, oh, another one here.
it's allowed. It's allowed.
The warmer you have, that little box that you pulled out of the red, is that what you're talking? See the red bag there? Yeah.
The little blanket?
Oh, okay. I thought there was a warmer. You said. Okay, I thought it was an electric thing or something. Okay.
No, but I know they sell like electric blankets that you just probably need batteries in them. So, like I said, just do your research, whatever is going to benefit you. Keep it in your go bag too. Like I said, you don't know when a disaster happens. It can happen in the cold or in the winter. It can happen in the summer. We just don't know. So being prepared for both seasons. So just be mindful of that when you're making your go kits. Maybe even having like a battery ported fan as well. If say per se your AC is not going to be working or something, just having something to keep you cool as well.
Okay. Well, thank you, Valerie. I appreciate you coming out here. Thank you, Candace and Janice. So I just want to let you know our next community awareness is going to be on Tuesday, November 5th. And it is going to be for the veterans, and not just all veterans, but their spouses also. So we have Cal Vet coming in, and she's going to review current and new VA benefits. We're going to have Chaplain Caroline Flanders from Riverside National Cemetery, and she's going to review memorial and end-of-life services for veterans and their spouses. And we have Jerry Walker from VFW Troop 233, and he's going to review veteran services and programs funded from our Veterans Walk on Saturday, November 9th. And then we're also going to have Doug Emery giving a presentation from our veterans here from Sun Lakes. So again, that's on Tuesday, November 5th. And I'm sorry the police department didn't come. They must have had an emergency. So he's doing his job. So I appreciate everybody showing up today. I thank you for coming, and have a great rest of the afternoon.